One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Good Monday afternoon to everybody. Glad you guys could make it. Hope you had a great weekend. Rob and I had a fantastic weekend. If you follow us on or follow me on X, you know that we went down to Miami, South Miami, Little Havana yesterday. Went to Little Havana, had lunch at the world famous Versailles Cuban restaurant. It was simply amazing, as it always is. It's awesome. Ashley gets mad because we go there without her, but they're coming down this weekend, so we'll find another Cuban restaurant we go to around here. We'll take her and the kids to. Yes, this weekend is grandkids weekend again. They'll be here, so we're going to be all kinds of psyched. I'm glad they weren't here last night. I'm glad we weren't watching the Super Bowl with them. I wonder how you guys feel. It's funny, 32% of you in the poll I put up didn't even watch the TPUSA show. A third of the people, I think that's a good sample out loud. We've had over 1,600 people vote. A third of people didn't even watch the TPUSA event. I think you missed something. I think, maybe tonight I'll play that in its entirety since a lot of you guys missed it. It's all over the place, but I can't believe 32% have not even seen it. So here's what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to give you my insight about what happened, what occurred last night. And I think my insight might be a little bit different than most people will give you. I've seen a lot of people talking about last night. I see a lot of people discussing Bad Bunny and the TPUSA event. But I have a couple things that my take is a little bit different. Obviously, I love football. The Patriots got curb stomped yesterday, so I wasn't happy with the outcome of the actual game. It's funny how Roger Goodell has created something where people no longer talk about the doggone game. That's disgusting. Yeah, there was actually some good football being played. Seattle had a monster defense. It was incredible how aggressive, and they just kept coming and coming and coming, and they did knocking linemen on their butts. I loved it. It's football. That's what we should be talking about. Football. Not Bad Bunny. But in any event, let me start by, let's recap some numbers.
From the War Department, we salute Turning Point USA and every American who still believes freedom is worth defending. Thank you for your courage as an organization, your clarity, and your leadership. And for this halftime show that the War Department is proud to support. This year we mark 250 years since a band of citizens pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. For 2.5 centuries, Americans have answered that call on farms and factory floors, in shipyards and labs, in cockpits and foxholes, and in every uniform our nation has worn. Freedom is not automatic. It is defended by a strong nation and a ready force, and that's our job. To our troops, our veterans, and the families who serve alongside them, we see you, we thank you, and we've got your back. So I hope you're enjoying this game. Happy Freedom 250, the things that really matter. God bless our warriors, and God bless our great republic.
So some people say they didn't watch it, they're giving up on the NFL. The NFL means nothing to them, and many people just decided to tune out. And then a lot of people who say the same thing about the elections. It's not working out, so we're just going to tune out. So pretty much what you're saying when you say that is you take a great big white flag and you're waving it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to give it any time. I'm just going to wave it. You understand what that means? It means that you have basically convicted every single player in the league as being a part of the craziness that goes on. I know some people got mad at me last week because I said I watched the game because I watched the game. I watched the linemen. I watched their feet. I watched their movements. And of course, my grandson is becoming a football player, and I watch him to see the reactions and the first step and how they react to a move here and a move there. How is the coverage downfield? There is so much science in football, and people wave the white flag and run away from it, which means you're pretty much not a fan of the game. And I heard somebody post it to me, and they said, well, if the players really understood, they'd walk away. Well, let me understand this. How many people who have jobs at certain companies walk away because of the decisions the CEO makes? Or do they show up and do their job every single day? Doesn't mean they agree with what the CEO does. I am 100% sure when Bud Light decided they were going to go ahead and bring in Dylan Mulvaney, that the employees in mass didn't say, yeah, that represents me. No, I'm getting paid to do a job. They just can't walk away. They've got families too. Just because they make 7-figure checks in the NFL doesn't mean they don't have families to take care of. They don't have businesses to take care of, that they don't need your support. You basically said, if you don't want to watch it, I'm sorry, I don't care. And I know what goes into playing football. I know the sweat, the blood, the time, everything you need to do to succeed at that level. And I've watched all week long. Some of you guys probably didn't even see it. There was a website or a profile on X called The Spectrum. And The Spectrum featured biblical testimonies from players from all over both teams and their coaches. Tony Dungy spoke. So many of these players. The MVP of last night's game, I wish I could show it to you. The MVP, first words out of his mouth. Thank God, thank Jesus Christ. He's given me this. He's given me this gift. I didn't do this. These skills I have, this body I built, this vision I have on the field, it's not me. I'm here for another purpose. And that purpose is, as soon as they stuck the microphone in his face, he's like, yeah, thank God. Thank Jesus Christ. And you basically say by not watching it, that man and his testimony isn't worth your time. Don't you think he sometimes feels the very disgust that you feel? Don't you think he sees, man, we're in here in the locker room and I can just hear this crap going on out there. Don't you think he hears it? Don't you think all week long people kept sticking microphones in his face? So, hey, are you okay with, are you a maggot? Or you understand ice sucks, right? You understand they went through that for 7 days. Think about if every single day you had to walk someplace, down some corridor in a hotel, in some restaurant, out to the stadium, through the media row, and everywhere you went, people were questioning you about, are you like this or are you like that? Which side are you on? We need to know which side you're on. You wearing a ribbon or not? And the people who you are aligned with, the very same people you're like, I'm down with them, I'm a Christian, are saying all over the place, nah, click, not watching you. You're not worth my time. Think about that. Think about the attack that these men were going through for 7, 8 days. The constant attack that they were going through. And some people just decided, can't support that. You're on your own. Which is the antithesis of what we're supposed to do. That's why we have fellowship. That's why we have meetings on Wednesday night, to bring up people who are being attacked. I don't think enough people really understand the pressure of playing in this woke league. I do. I know what it's like. I know the cheaters. I know the abusers. I know the drug takers. I saw it all. And then I saw also the guys who were, man, I'm just trying to live my life the right way and run the ball, catch the ball, and block. I'm not like that. But everybody's lumping me into it and telling me, you should just walk away. I worked my entire friggin' life. From the time I was 7 years old, my mom drove me to practice 3 times a week. When I got into, be old enough to be in like midget football, and I played there, and mom and dad kept taking me to practice. And then I went to middle school, and then I went to high school, and I practiced 5 days a week, basically 300 plus days per year to try and get better for the next year. I don't know what's going on out here. I don't pay attention to any of this. And then I go to college, and all kinds of new things are being thrown at me. I'm a man now. I'm a man. What's it mean to be a man? Oh, you got to make your own decisions. Mom's not looking over your shoulder. Hey, you want a beer? You want some booze? You want to graduate that? You want a joint? Hey, how about some blow? You want some of that? Hey, look at these chicks over here. You can have whatever you want. You're BMOC. You're the big man on campus. You get anything you want. And nobody's going to tell you no. Not even your coaches sometimes. You see, if you've never walked in those shoes where you can do no wrong, where the cops drive away when they see you doing something stupid, when the women throw themselves at you, when people walk up to you and say, can I have your autograph? You know what the first time was like when somebody said, can I have your autograph? I was like, why? I'm just some grunt. No, man, you're playing. I want you. Okay, here. What was that all about? And then mom, the kid's mom looks at you. Oh, hey, back up, lady. You literally have everything at your fingertips and nobody tells you no. You're never told no. How many of you have ever lived your lives up to a certain age where nobody says no to anything you want to do? I bet you there's less than 1% of you who have ever felt that, who understand what that means. I want that. Here's the keys to this car. Ooh, okay. I want her and her and her and her. Hey, I need some gas money. Here you go. Hey, I'm going in this restaurant. Oh, you don't have to pay. Wow, this is pretty good. All I got to keep doing is knocking people around. Yeah, that's all you got to do. Until, like Kid Rock said, until one day you can't. Until that one day you can't do that anymore. And life changes like that. And you're no longer the BMOC. You're no longer the guy getting the trophies. You're no longer the guy getting away with things. And at that point, you need somebody to say, I got you. Let me show you what you need to be doing. Oh, all right. You mean I got to earn stuff? Yeah. Wow. You know, you got to teach me what to do with my money. I just can't start. No, we're going to show you. And if it weren't for those people, excuse me, and who take that time and say, let me show you this and let me show you that, you're a 25, 27, 28-year-old kid. I'm like, wait a second, I didn't know I had to do all this. And then you wake up one day on a Monday morning after a Sunday in February, after you played the game of your life, and you got people giving you the middle finger because how dare you play in the NFL? See, this is a perspective I knew telling you that most people on X couldn't tell you. No, I never played in the Super Bowl, but I know people who did. I've had teammates who played in the Super Bowl. I've had a teammate who won the MVP in the Super Bowl. I remember asking him, dude, how did you keep your head about you? Oh, I got you. We're on the same page. That was the only way? That was the only way. I'm the MVP of the Super Bowl. He won it. And he won that MVP, and the world opened like a giant oyster, and he could have done anything he wanted. And his wife said, you know what we need to do? What? We need to pray. And we need to seek out other believers because this is too much. How much they want to pay you? A couple of $1,000,000 to put on a pair of sneakers? How much they want to pay you? A couple of $1,000,000 to go, How much they want to pay you to go to Disney World, where we used to pay to take the kids? These are decisions most of you never have to make. And I pray that you never have to make them without somebody saying, hey, we're going to do this the right way. Because then you end up like what was Ray's name? Ray Carruthers or Aaron Hernandez. When you don't have those people who say, hey, you can't do that, man. I know you're big and badass. I know you got this giant freaking ring. I know you're making millions of dollars. I know you're the MVP in the Super Bowl. I know right now there is nobody bigger on the food chain than you, but you still can't do it. You need to follow and get tempered. And so I just wanted to share that one perspective to even start to talk about the Super Bowl, because most people will never tell you what life in the NFL is. Nobody, I mean, it's a very small fraternity. I told you one time, Robin and I went to dinner, and I kept seeing this guy. I'm sitting here, she was sitting behind me, and he was an Italian guy. I thought he was Italian. And when he talked, he was doing this with his hands, and I kept seeing this giant ass ring flying up in the air. I'm like, that's a Super Bowl ring. And as a kid, that's the one thing you covet. You're like, I got to get me one of those. And he's talking to his friends, and he's doing this. And I'm like watching his hand go all around. And Robin's like, what are you doing? I'm like, the dude's got a Super Bowl ring on. He's sitting right there. He's got a Super Bowl ring. And so he talked. And then after it was all over, he turns around. I don't know why? I think I told you guys. And he goes, enjoy your meal. And he went like this with his hand. I go, what's on the other hand? He's like, oh, that's just a little something. That's a little something. And we got to talking, and he played in the Super Bowl in 1969, and he was Joe Namath's center, which was like me getting all like kitty because I was a center. I'm like, oh, wait a second, hold on. Let's talk. I know you just finished your dinner and your wife's ready to go, but we need to talk here. And that man sat back down and asked his wife to sit down, and we talked for about 15, 20 minutes. And then he said, it was so interesting. He was talking about Joe Namath, and he talked about when they won the game. I said, did Joe really say that? Did he really brag like that? He goes, yeah, he meant it. And when he said it, when I say to brag, he goes, we're going to win. We're going to win this game. No way you're going to win. We're going to win this game. And he said in the locker room. And then he looks over at his wife sitting there, and these people are, I don't know, probably, well, he played in 6'9", he's probably 75, 80 years old. He goes, but I couldn't have done it without her. I was like, oh, he goes, all this and all that and all the parties. And this was the New York Jets, New York City. And he was a football player on the world championship team with Joe Willie Namath. And he looks over at his wife of must have been 35 plus years and went, I could have never done it with her. She kept me grounded. And she said,
I watched your show. It was great. How did you do? Do you have a sense of how many people watched?
Yeah, it was kind of blew our minds actually a little bit, Brian. And we saw at one point across all the different social channels, we saw over 10 million concurrent views. So that was adding up all of Rumble and all of our partners just on the social side. So, and now the numbers keep trickling in. I mean, right now as I'm sitting here, YouTube's numbers keep updating. And so we're trying to put it all together. What I can safely say is that we are now over 20 million viewers across just social. So we haven't even gotten our partner broadcasters, their analytics. As you know, sometimes the ratings take a little while, but that's 20 million viewers. And we don't know how many people were gathered together, 3, 4, 10 in a room watching together. So we're going to try and put a final number on that when we can. What we can safely say is over 20 million Americans tuned in to the All-American Halftime Show tonight.
I looked at the pregame show. They had Green Day, the most anti-American band you could imagine. They wrote their hits album was called The American Idiot, and the lyrics reflect what he thinks of America and our policies. And then they have at halftime Bad Bunny. I mean, NFL is the #1 league in the world. And they do a lot right. I don't understand why in the year 250 they wouldn't think red, white, and blue, but you did. Lee Brice also released a song that is so appropriate about our culture. Talk about that.
Yeah, he actually wrote that in honor of Charlie. So, he has a ton of hits, and he wanted to play this one. We said, absolutely. You wrote it for Charlie in his honor, so do it. And I mean, that's what you saw from all of our performers. They did something special to honor the moment, honor how big the stage was, honor Charlie, honor our country. And you saw that from Kid Rock, who said God woke him up in the middle of the night to write another verse to that hit song Till You Can't. And he used it to, glorify Jesus and lift up his faith and be loud and proud about that. But really, there was no agenda.
Now, a lot of people got pissed off at Kid Rock, clutching their pearls. Oh my gosh, he came out and he introduced himself to the song Blah to the Blah, I think it was called. My name is Kid, that song. And I'm thinking, did you not get what he was doing? Did you not understand the artistic way he was telling his testimony? So he came out and he played a song from 1999 when he was hot. He was big back then. He was a BMOS, big man on stage. I remember when I did a concert with him, that was like the biggest thing. He walked out on stage, my name is Kid. And he starts talking about the chicks with beepers and all this kind of stuff. And then some people, once again, I can't watch this. I can't. Oh, this is awful. He's talking about chicks with beepers and prison mates. And then you missed the testimony. Because right after that song, he was Kid Rock. My name is Kid Rock. And then he brought out these ladies, and they're playing a hymn with yeah, what do you call it? Not a yeah, I think it was a violin, and the other one was on a cello, I think, and they were playing it. And then, went to dark. It went completely off. Then it came up, the lights came on, it was them. And then he walked out and he said, my name is Rob Ritchie. Stars, everything's great, all the excess. He died to self, comes back up, and he sings that song. And I'm like, didn't people realize he was showing his transition? That's why the first song, people are like, oh, he's lip syncing, it's horrible. Yeah, he didn't even want to say the words. It wasn't about that song. It was about getting to where he is now. And I'm thinking the metamorphosis of people who have gone through some of the most debauchery type things ever to get where they are now. We're not proud of it. We just had to go through it so that we could be the people we are now. Come out the other side better for it. Better men, better women. Not people who look at you and say, oh, you were Kid Rock. Here's what you said. And I got a comment, and this comment here, I just want to bring it up, and I don't mean any disrespect. It is, how do we get the NFL to stop the woke BS if we do not boycott? You're not watching the NFL. The NFL is the association. The NFL is the league. The NFL is the conglomerate, the big company that's made of 32 littler companies, although they're pretty big. And each one of those 32 littler companies has 100 to 200 people who work there, who work for these companies that just happen to be under the auspices of the NFL. You've never turned on a game yet and turned on the NFL. You turn on the Dolphins, you turn on the Patriots, you turn on the Indianapolis Colts, you turn on the Atlanta Falcons, you turn on the people in your area, or if you like somebody else, you just happen to like them. You're attached to them until they do. Hey man, do you guys remember Atlanta Falcons? Some of you guys may not remember the Atlanta Falcons, but they had a quarterback who was an amazing quarterback, skill-wise. He was an amazing quarterback who had some of the most amazing skills you'd ever want to meet. He could throw a football back like 80 yards. He could run like the deer. He was amazing. His name was Michael Vick. And then Michael Vick decided, because of all the excess and his entourage, he was going to get into dog fighting. And he used to fight dogs. One of the most horrible things you could possibly do, he's doing it, and he goes to jail. And certain men got around him and said, hey, you got to change your life, man. First step is get rid of these people. They ain't your friends. They're an entourage. They're enablers. They're suckers. You got to get rid of this. You got to distance yourself from it. And I'm like, don't people understand? In order for you to be a Christian, you have to be redeemed and ask for forgiveness for what you've done. How the hell do you get redeemed and ask for forgiveness if people keep pointing fingers at you? We have prayer meetings here. President Trump had a prayer meeting, and people put out their request. Please pray for me. We don't know you. We're praying for you, whatever you're going through, whether it's marriage, finances, family, health. We pray for you as a group because two or more are gathered. How do you deal with the NFL? You and your wife sit down and pray for them and root for the players. You have to be able to separate. When I go down to the Dolphins game and we go to our seats and, we see what's going on, we're there to watch the game. And so I think Tua Tagovailoa is one of the worst quarterbacks we could possibly have. But That's his football. I think he's one of the best men in the NFL. Great Christian, great family man. And you separate. I mean, you really stink, but you're a good dude. And that good dude can then separate, and actually try to help others. The other player, Tyreek Hill, bad dude. Bad, bad, bad. Keeps getting women pregnant, beat up people. Bad seed. I don't care. I don't even want him on the team next year. It doesn't mean the other 150 guys on the practice squad and everything else shouldn't get our prayers. In fact, shouldn't we pray for sinners? Wait a minute. Is that in the manual? Are we supposed to pray for people who are, just the good ones? I mean, does your church say, hey, only pray for good people? He does drugs. We don't want to pray for him. Oh, he beats women. Oh, don't want to pray for him. He's in the NFL. Definitely don't want to pay for him. Or are you in a church or around people who say that these people need your prayers? They don't need you to turn away. You turn away, you're basically condemning them, aren't you? I mean, think about that. You can condemn the league. You can say, I hope this league fails, but I hope he succeeds. Right now, Fox has got their 24/7 Nancy Guthrie stuff going on, like it's never going to end, like she's the only woman that's ever been kidnapped. I think their programmers and their directors and producers have been kidnapped because they must be holding them for ransom because it's the only thing they're putting on television. But nonetheless, people around the country, maybe the world, who don't even know this woman are praying for her. By the way, they're praying for her despite the fact that her daughter, who's on a woke television network, tried to destroy the same guy we voted for and why we are here. Think about that. Let's continue with TPUSA.
Yeah, it was just good music for Americans, for people that wanted to feel proud about their country, wanted to love their country, love their God, and love some great music. So, and that was in contrast to the other guys. Yeah, that was on full display tonight, Brian.
All right, so I want to talk to you specifically about the two secrets that I mentioned that I have. Well, if they're secrets or revelations, even beyond the stuff I just talked about, two revelations about what happened last night that I think are pretty big, and this is the kind of thing that could change the NFL. Not Bad Bunny. What way you go after these people isn't by complaining and boycotting. Way you go after these people is like this. You see, well, before I get into that, let me tell you, what do I got to tell you about first? So I'll get back to that in 60 seconds. Here we go. All right. So want to talk to you about Lear Capital. I told you. I know I'm not supposed to say I told you, but I'm going to say I told you again anyway. I said, wait until this week. Watch what happens. Sure enough, numbers are going up. But most importantly, if you bought some silver and gold, don't freak out. Obviously, you now know things are going to they're going to look like a heartbeat. They are trying everything they can possibly do to suppress this market. Not sure if you knew this, but last week, 2 banks went out of business. There's a lot of pressure and volatility right now. The days of excessive money printing, overvalued markets, and global unrest are finally catching up to the elite. Instead of pulling back, now, instead, is the time for you to do some serious research. Keep your eyes open, understand what trend lines look like, and get some information from my friends at Lear Capital. Experts are still predicting $6,000 gold and $150 to $200 silver. Everything you've been seeing is being driven by geopolitical uncertainty, inflation concerns, and a perceived weakening U.S. dollar. Is it time for you to buy some gold or silver? That's a decision you'll have to make. And you'll have to make it as an informed decision, I would hope. But if you call Lear Capital, they'll help you by getting the most accurate information, most up-to-date information you'll need to make an informed decision. Call the best in the business and a company Robin and I personally trust and do business with. Call Lear Capital. It's a free call. There's no obligation to purchase, just education and information on protecting and growing your wealth with gold and silver. I'm sure there are many of you that have called and haven't purchased yet for whatever reason. That's fine. They'll help walk you through all of the information that you need, and they'll even help you shift some of your money sitting in a retirement account over to physical gold and silver if that's what you want. It's easy to do. I've been extremely satisfied with Lear's knowledge, their service, and their prices. I urge you to call today and learn more at 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com to learn more. And I'm about to get some more myself because I'm seeing the volatility. It will continue, but it's still got an upwards trend. Talk to you in 90 seconds.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
By the way, I'd love to know how many of you have resumed two things. Have you resumed going to Cracker Barrel, and have you resumed buying Budweiser or Bud Light? I'd love to know that. Put that in the chat. Have any of you gone back to, some of the brands that at one point were problematic, but now you're like, yeah, okay, now they're okay. Target, when they were selling the little onesies with the pouch and everything. Let me know that in the chat in terms of who has gone back to either Bud Light, Bud, or Cracker Barrel. But anyway, all right. So let me segue into this because I find this. Well, I think it's important. You see, I've got a unique perspective. I call them secrets, but you can decide which one of these perspectives are bigger in terms of importance. See, I've got what I consider a unique experience is my insight, and I mean deep insight. At one time, I was a concert promoter, as many of you know, and I've said I literally have promoted concerts from A to Z, Aerosmith to Warren Zevon, and basically everybody in between. At the same time, many of you guys know that I was an ad agency executive and still, do a lot of dabbling with advertising. And I want you to understand what you saw last night with what Turning Point did with their counter programming, their other halftime show, is a much bigger deal than most people realize. And I bet you today it's got a lot of people at NBC who aired the Super Bowl, Fox, CBS, anybody who's got the contract for these games, every legacy media executive, every brand is having some sphincter tightening. They're very, very, very nervous about what happened last night. Because last night, the proverbial advertising Rubicon got crossed. On advertising's Grand Dame, the Super Bowl, on the most expensive advertising real estate in the world. They can't pull back what happened last night. They cannot, there's no way to put that genie back in the bottle. There's no unringing the bell per se. You guys know I've been in advertising. I've worked on multiple Super Bowl campaigns. I worked on Super Bowl campaigns for Party City and for Papa John's. And the numbers I saw last night and what we're still seeing compiling is going to put the fear of God into anyone whose business model involves Super Bowl advertising. See, their business model with Super Bowl advertising meant they had an unchallenged monolith. They had something that nobody else could have. I'm running an ad in the Super Bowl. Actually, I was on 3 Super Bowl campaigns. Oh, I'm running an ad in the Super Bowl. Oh, you can tell that the people at the cocktail party, hey, watch my ad tonight on the Super Bowl. Oh, you're in the Super Bowl? It had that kind of prestige. And regardless of where you land politically, doesn't really matter this part. Because we found out last night that a 30-second Super Bowl commercial, 30 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can count it, 30 seconds, cost $10 million, up to $10 million. But that's not all, because most people don't realize that $10 million spot that you saw every time it ran, every single commercial, 5, 6, 10, depending on where it was, 10 million bucks. But that was the commercial. That didn't include the ante. You see, the ante is, in order for you to be allowed to run a television commercial, before we even let you have a television commercial, you got to agree to $10 million more across all NBC properties. So it's going to, a brand, anybody you saw last night was probably paying as much as $20 million. $20 million to put their brand in front of the biggest television audience in the country, in the world. $20 million. It's going to be probably somewhere in the name of 125 to maybe 130 million live viewers across 50 million households. The final numbers haven't all come out yet, but early estimates show that TPUSA, their halftime, pulled somewhere north of 25 million concurrent households. And because the Super Bowl was proudly into group viewing, because not many people watch the Super Bowl by themselves, industry averages around 2.5 viewers per household. That puts the live audience north of 60 million people for TPUSA. Let that sink in. Let that really sink in. Turning Point potentially siphoned off 20 to 25% of the total households watching the NFL broadcast during halftime. 20 to 25% of the entirety of the Super Bowl audience went. And a lot of people either had 2 screens or they just changed the channel completely. If you don't realize how devastating that number is for counter programming on the world's biggest event, you're not getting these numbers. I would have loved to have walked into a conference room this morning at a meeting at some of the biggest brands in the country. I wish I was still at the advertising agency, if I could have dialed in and said, hey, the client going, can you explain to me how we paid $20 million to advertise on the Super Bowl? And a third of the audience went poof. Well, sorry, sir, but no, there's no sorry. I just need to know what you're going to do to make it up to me. It's called a make good. You sold me that we'd have all these eyeballs and 30% of them just walked out the door. In addition to that, you had many people who didn't like you. Even in our poll here, you had many people who said, no, I'm not watching the game. I'm not watching. I'm just turning it all off. This is insane. You insulted me. On the biggest event with the most expensive placements in the entire game, they blew it. And they just didn't blow it last night. People can laugh at it. People can say, "Oh, the TPUSA did this or did that." But here's something I want to show you from some serious advertising insight. Don't ignore this, because the one language these people universally talk, not Democrat, not Republican, not Catholic, not Baptist, the one language these people all talk is money. And because last night everything changed forever, it proves something that the media never thought possible, that the Super Bowl is not the captive audience that they think it is. And when given a better option, not even given a better option, given an alternative, people will take a look at that alternative. The Puppy Bowl has been on for years, but that ain't it. That ain't it compared to another alternative altogether. The Super Bowl advertising landscape just changed forever. And right now, Roger Goodell's like, what do? We cannot let this happen next year. So here's what comes next. You see, everybody's looking at this, if they have any brains about them, and say, these upstarts here who throw events with college kids around the country put together an alternative Super Bowl production in about 2 months. And that Super Bowl production, there were some technical issues, I think, with one, X or something, licensing they had a problem with. They didn't have a chance to work that out in advance. And if you watched it, it was like in a small hall. It wasn't in a big arena, wasn't in a stadium somewhere. The production wasn't audio wasn't fantastic, but it still drew, the numbers are still going, 50, 60 million when you count the number of people in a household. You don't think people are like, whoa, because even I went, whoa. So here's what's going to happen next year. You can bet your butt that there will be contracts written into certain performers' schedules that says you cannot perform anywhere from the period February 1 to, say, February 28th. Nope, you can't even be out there. They don't want, that's going to be the easy way to pull people up from TPUSA. You can't perform anywhere near these dates, or you can't perform anywhere that's televised online or on television anywhere in these dates. You can't perform anything against the Super Bowl, period. That will start being inserted into contracts, and many people will sign it because they don't want to get pissed off that they're going to lose 100 dates elsewhere. Only the top people are going to be like, I ain't doing that. You're not going to preclude me from doing something. And then, of course, the lawyers will get involved. Trust me. I've seen it happen. I saw it when Clear Channel turned into, what are they called? Live Nation, and they started precluding, you can't perform anywhere within 50 miles of this venue. You can't do this. You can't. And artists, because Live Nation would come in and say, we're going to book 50 shows. Well, I can't turn down these 50 shows because of this one show. Sorry, can't play there. It's a dirty business, and TPUSA is about to find out how dirty it is. Been there, done it, use those clauses in my contracts. Oh, no, and then they'll say something like this, too. Oh, you just played Boston? Okay, well, you can't play Boston again for another 180 days. You can't even do a show in Boston for another 180 days. Because I don't want your shows too close to the days when I'm going to be promoting you. Can you imagine if you had, I don't know, Kid Rock booked in Boston tomorrow? Like, dude, you just over-promoted and took all my audience. People aren't going to have enough money to go to 2 shows. That'll be put in these contracts as well. People are going to reconfigure the touring schedules of bands that actually have the viability. And then the sponsors are going to do the exact same thing. hey, you're performing under my banner. Here's Taco Bell presents the Taco Bell concert series. And Taco Bell is going to say, well, you can't perform anywhere near any other sponsors. So if TPUSA does this next year, which they should, they will have precluded themselves from certain sponsors because the sponsors aren't going to want to piss off the NFL. So this is where it's going to have to really get worked out. And just keep remembering, TPUSA did this with just 2 months' notice. The next Super Bowl, Super Bowl 61, LXI, will be held, listen to this, the next Super Bowl will be held on February 14th next year. The next Super Bowl is also going to be held on Valentine's Day in Los Angeles. The biggest media market, one of the two biggest media markets in the entire country, which means we're going to get that 25 million next year. Well, what are we going to do about these TPUS guys, these TPUSA? Because most shows of this nature are booked a year in advance, 8 months in advance. So TPUSA is going to have to get on the horn in the next couple of weeks and start planning venues, and they're going to have to start looking at acts and putting together advertisers. This is not something you put together in 2 months. You have now just stepped into a aura or a ring with Live Nation and NFL and everybody else. So what do? I don't know, because the other thing that's going to happen is there's going to be some promoters, there's going to be some sponsors who say, if they could do it, and they've never done anything like this, why don't we just create Superpalooza? And we'll have a concert all day long, a giant festival. We'll make this Superpalooza. Remember Lollapalooza? And there's 20 bands on 7 stages, and we'll broadcast the 20 minutes, but it's an all-day event. Sponsored by Heineken. The competition next year is going to be amazing. And if I were TPUSA, I would call them right now and say, listen, you need to go ahead and call and rent the Atlanta Motor Speedway, someplace warm in February, maybe the Miami Dolphin Stadium, and you need to put on a massive concert where, we can televise 20 minutes of it, but make it a whole day event and bring some of the biggest sponsors and acts. Forget you can still have the third tier acts, because basically what you saw yesterday were third tier acts. But there's a lot of bigger acts who these Live Nations of the world can't control that still would be viable. Somebody like, I don't know, Jason Aldean. He would be a huge one to bring in. And let him headline it and then fill in all the blanks with all the other people. He would come on just during the Super Bowl time. And they would absolutely crush it. Kenny Chesney. I don't know if he's on the woke side or not. He's kind of out there. Kenny Chesney. Bring in some really big, monstrous acts to counteract not just the 18 minutes, the whole day, blow it out, big festival, giant advertisers, get people who travel across the country who want to come to this big major event. That's how it's got to happen next year. That's what they need to do. Second part of this, and this is what you just saw, the Streisand effect in real terms. You see, all of us, you on here, you who follow different people on X, you have to realize Twitter is not real life. However, the Super Bowl is real life. The entire world watches it, not just Twitter. And all these people, not on Twitter/X, just got a taste of what we all have been fighting. You knew this crap was going on. You knew this woke crap was going on. Regular America, believe it or not, didn't know this. They didn't know this crap was going on. And they turned on, they came together, they all sat down, got the chips and the Doritos and the dip and everything, and turned this on and went, what the hell is this? These people spent good money to have family come over, friends, neighbors, big screens, all kinds of stuff. And they all sat down and watched a game that was boring as hell, but I love defense, so it was great. And they got to the halftime, and here comes Bad Bunny. What in the ever loving, what is this? That's the win for us. If you've seen some of the pictures of the people inside the stadium, yeah, there were some people grooving, and you had other people in the stadium just, what are we seeing here? You're seeing the takeover of America. You're seeing the debauchery in front of your children. You're watching the NFL, and as far as I'm concerned, NBC, whore out your kids. There's some videos out there where people have transcribed the lyrics to some of his songs. I don't think he said it yesterday because even in Spanish, they probably would have bleeped it out. Even when Green Day got up there, we all know they hate MAGA. I'm not a part of the MAGA agenda. If you guys haven't heard that, he didn't say it. Billy Armstrong just sang the song the way it was supposed to be sung, the way he originally wrote it, and he coalesced and said, I'll be a good boy. Bad Bunny, I don't know what the hell he said. I don't even know what words he was saying. I don't speak Spanish. Neither did most of the people watching that game. They absolutely woke up the silent majority of people who just go to work and live their lives of all ages, of all colors, those who speak Spanish and those who didn't. They cast America aside while taking Americans for granted. We're going to ram this into your living room, wherever you may live. You came, you showed up for a football game, and you got some indoctrination for free, even if you didn't want it. The NFL desires an international audience because they already have us. We're locked in. Hey, yeah, we got those stupid Americans. They'll watch no matter what. We need to bring in people from Guam and all these, well, Guam's a territory, but Colombia, Puerto Rico, that's a territory. Let's let them watch. But they don't like football. They like soccer. Doesn't matter. We're gonna try and program them. You see, they treated the existing audience of Americans like battered wives and children. Just beat the hell out of the wives, whip the kids, and just tell them, sit there and watch this. Don't let me have to. That's what happened. They made a business decision that you, your friends, your family, your neighbors are no longer important to them. They insist. I saw the video of Roger Goodell hugging Bad Bunny. He was thrilled what he saw. And there's many people, I had put up a post earlier, and I said, you could have dictated and posted something before the show began, and it would be correct. Liberals will say it was the best halftime ever. Conservatives will say it was the worst time ever. And we're both right. Because it's indicative of where the country is right now. I've said many a times, we're never coming back together. I'm not being a fatalist. I am calling it straight up. We are never coming back together. That genie has been out of the bottle. They hate you. And after what you saw last night, you're like, man, I can't stand that. I want no parts of that. You don't think they know that? You don't think that they absolutely know what they're doing? You see, the part when I started this show that I'm sure some people felt uncomfortable is because you're in a civil war and they're beating you without having to fire a shot. You're acquiescing. You're giving up. You're walking away. You are waving the proverbial white flag. You got to fight. You have to understand you need to be fighting. And you're giving up ground with no plan to flank the sides. You're just like, not for me. They know it's not for you. They don't give a crap that it's not for you. They're going to ram it down your throat. They're going to show you this is where America is headed. This is America. If you didn't see Bad Bunny's thing, and I hope you don't have to go back and watch it, because I think it was like 2% of you saw it, at the end, he walked up and was basically saying, this is America. This is how America is going to be. And he had an American flag, which everybody thought, oh, see, he's trying to be inclusive. But what you didn't realize, he was storming the border with every other flag and telling you, this is America. And you better get used to it. You better get used to my thrusting. You better get used to the stuff that we do, the stuff that we say. You better get used to all this. This is what we're bringing to your hometown. Me and the rest of my illegal friends back here. And you ain't going to do nothing about it. You see, if we turn the channel, which most of us did, the part I want you to remember is it doesn't make that go away. We can all turn the channel. We can all lament. It sucked, but it ain't going away. In fact, it's just revving up steam. It was recruiting people last night. It was trying to get people, this is how it's going to be. Get used to it. This is what we're going to do. You can't turn away. Maybe metaphorically, but you can't give up because they're not. And that's where it's going to get real ugly. I'll take some of your thoughts in a second.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so let me take a few. Diane says, Barry, I thought the same thing. When they had all those flags and can't care, Bad Bunny knows how bad it is Puerto Rico. Do you know how many people in Puerto Rico are on welfare? Yeah, I saw some tweets today. It's like, why don't we just trade Puerto Rico for Greenland or something? Almost the entire country, something like 70 or 80% of the people are on welfare. They know that. They don't. It's funny. I'm surprised that more people didn't storm into Puerto Rico instead of oh, I love this one. This world is a Truman Show for real. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Where'd this other one go? I thought I saw something here. Where'd it go? Oh yeah. The dev says, Kid Rock and Turning Point showed us we don't have to take what is shoved down our throats by our world leaders. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. But see, what else we got? I live the best I can on a narrow path. I've seen hell on earth. I care what I do. Yeah, okay, live your life. Uh, Politics has destroyed our American culture. I agree. I remember back in the day telling a friend of mine, like the last bastion we have is sports, which means that had to come under attack. They couldn't leave anything to chance. And sure enough, it happened. Sure enough, the programming just quickly. I mean, yesterday, one of the things I did, and I was thinking about showing it, but you don't have the rights to it. I probably could show it on Rumble. I went back. There was a guy on Twitter who was posting all of the halftime shows for like years ago. Michael Jackson, Prince, the country show with Clint Black and Winona and Travis Tritt, way back with the Blues Brothers and ZZ Top. And I was looking at all these shows, black and white. What's her name? Whitney Houston, all kinds of different things. And none of them were like this. Whitney Houston, even though she was going through some drug problems herself, she got out there and just belted out the Star Spangled Banner. I don't think anyone's ever topped that. And then now we're just seeing that turn. There was no political statement. Get up there and say. I was watching the ZZ Top one, and it was like legs, and they're playing their songs. And even when Michael Jackson sang, he tried to make a statement about child abuse. And then, of course, what I consider the best one ever was when the purple one was down here in Miami in the rain and sang Purple Rain. It was like, oh my God, this is just amazing. Not a word, not one single word in any of those shows about immigration, politics, MAGA, Democrats, nothing. The good old days. In fact, we should just do a movie and put that together and say, here, let's just play this next year at the halftime. Can we just play these old best hits? Creed. Can we just, when people played music, just play music without all the crap? But no, you got to invade us. Let's see here. Whitney Houston, yeah, never will. Never, no one will ever beat that. Voice of an angel. Yep, Purple Rain. I looked at that yesterday. I think I might have posted it, and it was incredible. Listen, it was pouring, and we're like, how is he not getting wet? Did they put some sort of diversion up there? And he just played the hell out of that song, and people loved it. We weren't insulted with politics. Just be people. Now we can't get away from politics. Can't get away from it. It's everywhere, except if Nancy Guthrie gets kidnapped again. I mean, I've been talking for an hour and 7 minutes, and that's all they're showing. I was talking to Robin about that yesterday. I'm like, what are they covering up? What do they not want us to know that they're spending so much time talking about this woman? God bless her. Don't want anybody killed or anything or kidnapped, but is that I mean, literally, it's one story, no other stories. Nothing is being shown. You can turn on Fox now. I guess the deadline for the ransom is 5 p.m. They're going to talk about this right up to 5 o'clock. Is she dead? Did they give the money? Come on, man. There's nothing else going on. There's a lot going on. All right, so let's segue into the. Wait a minute. I think I do have a couple of things I wanted to show you. I love this one. Imagine blackpilling people about our chances in November and seeing this halftime show. That's exactly what I was talking about. You just showed all of America how crazy you are. Bad Bunny. I got your Bad Bunny. And then, of course, where's this one? I wanted to bring, wait 1 second. I forgot to show this earlier. 1 second. This one. This is important. The Super Bowl halftime show is absolutely terrible. I didn't even believe he watched it. One of the worst ever. It makes no sense, is an affront to the greatness of America, and doesn't represent our standards of success, creativity, or excellence. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying. True. And the dancing is disgusting. Yep. Especially for young children that are watching from throughout the USA and all over the world. This show is just a slap in the face to our country, which is setting new standards and records every single day, including the best stock market and 401ks in history. There is nothing inspirational about this mess of a halftime show. And watch, it will get great reviews from the fake news media. He is correct, because they haven't got a clue of what's going on in the real world. And by the way, the NFL should immediately replace the ridiculous new kickoff rule. That is ridiculous. Make America great again, President Donald Trump. So he came out and said, this is ridiculous. You are showing America's biggest event by making sure Americans have no idea what the hell's going on. Yeah. That didn't go well for the president. I think he echoed everything we all have to say. And this is important, too, to think about it. Jay-Z, for some reason, took over producing Super Bowl halftime show in 2019. Since then, white performers have been banned from the show. There hasn't been a single white headliner at a Super Bowl in 7 years, with the lone exception of Eminem, who performed alongside Dr. Dre, Snoop, and Kendrick Lamar, and other black artists. I thought we were supposed to be inclusive. I thought diversity was our strength. No, it's not. They want to make Americans second-class citizens. They are going to continue with their agenda, and I think that TPUSA just threw a big monkey wrench into things, because there's a lot of people right now sitting in music offices and sponsor brand rooms and everything else. There are a lot of people right now going, well, maybe we should launch an alternative show. You know, we're sitting on an extra. We don't think about that. If a Super Bowl commercial costs $10 million, and you also have to spend $10 million in advertising, you got to spend $20 million. How much you think you could spend to get 40, 50,000 people in a stadium, put on an amazing show, put your brand everywhere? Papa John's presents the alternative halftime, the best American halftime ever, presented by Papa John's, and Papa John vendors and Papa John stores around the country all are going to give away tickets. Don't get me started. Maybe I should call Papa John's. You got 10 million? We're going to take over the Super Bowl, baby. And we're going to do a show down here in the Miami Stadium. You don't even need 10 million. Definitely don't need 20. We probably get the whole thing done for like maybe 6 or 7. That's with getting somebody like Kenny Chesney or Jason Aldean. We get some major entertainers. We'll sell this place out. We'll get 60, 70,000 people here. You'll make a whole bunch of money because you can sell tickets, and then you'll be selling pizzas around the country. I remember we did a deal. Can I say this? When I was working on with Papa John during their Super Bowl promotion, I won't tell you the exact numbers. I don't want to give up anything in that regard. Let me just think, how should I say this? But they sold 6 figures plus in pizzas in about 20 minutes. And they're calling us like, because we're up in a control room and we're tweeting about it and everything. I was like, hey, we might need to back off of this. 6 figures, high 6 figures of pizzas. Do the math. Pizza costs this much times. Complete liquidation of all your spend. Liquidation means you're getting the money back that you expended to do things with. And then they had a partner, which I think was back then Pepsi or Coke, one of the two, and they split the costs. And what happens when you order pizza? You got to order soda. Don't think those conversations aren't happening in boardrooms right now going, we could own this. We better do something before TPUSA does. TPUSA, they may just be having plans on doing something in some little hall. Let's just rent out, I don't know, the stadium. That's my idea. Give me a call. I can help you with that. Okay. All right, let's move on to the second big story, shall we? This was from Matt Walsh. One more. I didn't watch the NFL halftime show, but I've seen the clips. By the way, if you were boycotting watching the show, then why the hell are you going to be a clickbait artist and put up the clips? I don't know. Just an absolute disgrace and massive middle finger to the fans to have the entire show in Spanish. Football is an American sport. This is our culture, our pastime. I was expecting a disgusting spectacle, but looks even worse than I thought. The problem, Matt, is you considered it an American event. That's your problem. But he's correct. That's what it turned into. All right, so let's go into the second part of the show now. Actually, I do have one other kind of stuff here in terms of more people are opening their eyes as to the fact that the Democrats are no longer Democrats. The Democrats are evil invaders, enabling invasion, and more people are starting to realize that on the left.
It's so hard to not be on one of the extremes.
Yes.
To not have a team. I mean, it just really sucks, and especially in this town where everyone's on one team, and it's not. I mean, as I always say to my woke friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
Right.
And they do not like that.
Right.
They are very exclusionary.
Yes.
You know, they really just don't want to breathe the same air if you're not exactly with the groupthink.
Yes, which is,
while they're not that bright.
I know, and it's counterintuitive to me.
Now, the guys, in case you don't know, the guy sitting with Bill Maher is Adam Carolla, comedian, podcaster, actor, and some things. And they're lamenting about what life is like out in LA. Yeah, you're either wearing a ribbon or you're not wearing a ribbon. You can't be a neutral Democrat. And this is what I've been telling you guys. I've been telling you that there's an issue that many people aren't focusing on, is that there's a lot of homeless Democrats. When I say homeless, meaning they've been kicked out of the party. You're not left enough. You're not commie enough. And because you're not commie enough, you can't sit with us. You can't sit at this table. Matter of fact, you can't even be in this house. And so these are people who are starting to realize, going, hey, man, I'm not really MAGA, but I'm not really communist. And I got no place to go because all my friends are nuts. Well, we'll bring you. We can talk to you. You can have some of your ways. And this is what Adam's going to say.
Because I always feel like you should be looking for things you agree on, not looking for things you disagree on. And it just makes life so much easier and so much.
Couldn't have said that any better. You know, when you first dated your husband or your wife, you first dated that person, you sat down and you tried to find those things that you agreed on, not the stuff that you disagreed on. And then, of course, there were deal killers. Like, if you don't agree with this, we're done. The other stuff we can start looking at. Like, obviously, myself and Robin, our deal killer was, are you a Christian? Which I failed. Well, I kind of failed. She asked me if I was a Christian, and I said, no, I'm Catholic. And she goes, no, you're stupid. Huh? You believe in Jesus? Uh-huh. Then you're a Christian. Oh. I actually said that. That's actually a conversation we had, and she will tell you that's exactly what happened. Are you Christian? Mm. And she looked at me funny. And she like, what are you? She goes, I'm Catholic. She looked right at me and goes, no, you're actually stupid. Oh. And then the other, okay, so we got the deal breaker off the table. Let's talk about some of the stuff. Let's go through it. What kind of music you like? Well, I like the Scorpions, and I like, AC/DC. What do you like? Donna Summer. Oh, no. You're not getting this, Robin. I moved to the South because I figured I'd get, a woman that kind of had the same, values. You like country music? But she did like to cook. So I was like, that's what I'm saying. You look for the things that you agree on, and they should overwhelm the things you don't agree on. I hate disco. I don't want to hear no disco. She loves disco. Go with your friend. I'm not listening to that. Let's go to the club. I'm going to sit over here with the guys. You go dance. You find the things you agree on. Nowadays, there's nothing we can agree on. The Democrats are no longer Democrats. I don't want high taxes. Men can't have babies. I don't want the border overrun. There's nothing to talk about with the left person on the left. That's why I say we're never coming back, because I don't want tax. I mean, you don't want anything that they want. And so at that point, I got nothing to say to you.
Better. And it's almost like saying, look, we like to go out to dinner. Let's not try to figure out what food you hate and I love. Let's try to figure out the food we both love, and let's go enjoy ourselves. And it's pretty easy to do, because if you think about most people who you may disagree with, or maybe I disagree with, it's not 10 out of 10 things. We agree on 8 out of 10 things, right, and maybe we have a disagreement about 2 out of 10 things. Like, no, people say to me all the time, "Oh, you're, Republican and right-leaning." I go, listen, I don't own a gun. I'm not religious at all. I'm for abortion and pot smoking and everything. How right can I be?
Can you imagine meeting somebody who says, "I'm for abortion, and I'm closer to you than these nuts are"? Wait a second, bro. Come on. You smoke pot too? Yeah. I'm nothing like these people over here. And think how things have changed. That somebody like that, who is more amenable to talking to people like us than these nuts. It's like, no, man, I can't be down with you about this abortion thing. Well, that's just how I feel. Want to go eat some sushi? Okay.
You put your finger on the thing that makes me so incensed about the woke and the far left, which is this, that they want to characterize people, you, me, Barry Weiss, who's a lesbian and Jewish, and things that used to be our, we need no further credentials to let you know that we are certainly not conservatives, we're not right-wingers, we're not whatever you think, and yet it's never enough for them. Right.
Imagine right now, you guys, for the most part here, are probably MAGA. So you're around MAGA friends. Imagine having no home. Imagine being people like that were, we considered left. And they're like, no, I'm not a lefty. I'm a Democrat. Them people with the purple hair and the nose rings and the commies who can't even tell you what a woman is, I'm not down with that. And they're stuck. You see, every time I see one of these pollsters take polls, and I'm thinking to myself, you're asking the wrong questions. Given the votes, would you vote for somebody who's looking to raise taxes or not raise taxes? Remember, you're going to be talking to millionaires like Bill Maher and Adam Carolla. Let me ask you another question. Do you believe men can have babies? That's like a 90-10 issue there. Okay, what's the next issue we're going to talk about? Do you want the border wide open? No? Well, then you're closer to this side. But I'm wondering, though, how many of you, and this is something you don't have to put in the chat, how many of you could extend the hand to these people? Or are they to be ostracized because, oh, you have a different feeling about abortion? How many of the things that you're, I guess what I'm saying is, what are those things that you're willing to cede? I'm like, okay, we could talk. That's it. That should be number one. Can we talk? Can we discuss things? Can we be human to each other? Can we sit there and, look at Bad Bunny and go, I don't know what the hell they're doing. What do we agree on? And that's how Trump won, because more people agreed on what he stood for than who he was. And now you've got these idiot pollsters that are talking about one item. We're going to get to that in a little bit. We got time. Yeah, we got time. We're going to get to that. They talk about one item.
Never enough that we're just not willing to go along with your insanity. That doesn't make us conservatives.
Right. No, I agree. Barry's great, and there's many people that way. And again, it's interesting because they feel compelled to put you somewhere, and if you don't conform and it doesn't work, then they have an issue with it.
Can you imagine living like that? I'm like, well, I saw a great comment that came in, and the old saying about don't judge a book. And it says, Barry, if you see my wife and I, you'd swear we were liberal. I have a tattoo studio. We're both heavily tattooed. And you don't know. You don't know because we're not talking. And until we can say, that's some crazy stuff we saw last night. Because one of the questions I would ask, are you guys have kids? Yeah. Is that okay for your kids to watch? Two guys humping? Nah. All right, so now we can discuss something. You see, I think too many people are trying to convert people. You see, Adam Carolla says he basically doesn't care about abortion. Some of you guys say it's a deal breaker, but is it? If he were to vote for Trump, and we would be able to keep, well, who knows who he did vote for, but let's say Trump was running and he voted for Trump, but he he didn't really have a problem with abortion. Would you say to him, you can't vote for Trump? I don't agree with you, but I'm willing to have you come over and talk. That's, to me, the entire thing. And I included that because it goes all the way back to the beginning of the show when people say they were boycotting the NFL. Well, you don't need to boycott the NFL if you can talk to some other people, some people who are in it. I don't need to completely say everybody in Hollywood is trash. If I can talk to somebody about like Adam Carolla or even Bill Maher, who seems, left, but you're finding out with every passing day, he's not as far gone as these other people. You see, one thing these people like, the intelligent, especially the wealthy, they don't want to lose it. See, that's our common bond. We need America. I need America. I made my living here. I did movies and stand-up shows and a show on HBO. And I need America in order for me to prosper as well. I don't like everything, but I definitely don't like that. I don't like none of this stuff. No, I see where you're going. Been there, done that. Yesterday, you guys saw my video in terms of I went down to Little Havana, and there were people there who, probably didn't believe like Robin and I believe. But the other thing they don't want communism. We'll stand with you. We'll fight with you. We'll help Trump, even if we got to do this, because that is the worst. All right, so enough about Big Bunny, Bad Bunny, whatever. I'm done with it. Next order of business here. And it's going to be this one.
And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who are regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
There haven't been any. There haven't been any more details. There won't be any more details. They've had plenty of time. But yesterday, somebody, Soros, somebody paid $10 million to run a Super Bowl commercial for these ladies. $10 million was spent on this 30 seconds.
After years of being kept apart, we're standing together.
Standing together.
Because this girl deserves the truth.
Because she deserves the truth. Because we all deserve the truth.
You know the truth. That is the most stupid commercial I've ever seen. We all deserve the truth. You are the gatekeepers of the truth. You specifically know who did what, when they did it, how they did it. You're the only friggin' ones who know. Everybody else is out here like, truth. You know the truth. You have done everything possible to not tell us the truth. I just want to put, I should let the red thing run under the crawl. I find anything that happened to these women, let me say it again, anything that's ever happened to these women to be appalling, heinous, sinful, despicable. And I wish that every man or woman who did anything to these children, these women, when they were children, should hang by their toenails. However, at this point, people are using this entire thing as a weapon. You've got certain people who take polls out there who talk about this non-friggin' stop. And what happens is people have no clue what they're talking about anymore. They've been whipped up into a complete frenzy. I posted something earlier. I hope this doesn't get me in trouble with you guys. I said, for the people in the back who don't understand, you are being lied to and fed BS on X. No one is going to be arrested or convicted because their name appears in an email or a file. No one. I want you to just deep breath and accept it. No one can ever possibly be arrested or convicted because their name shows up in some file. Well, most assuredly, what has happened to these women is heinous in truth. It's the truth. People need to stop with the fantasies and the pipe dreams. It's quite unfortunate, but it is the way it is. And some people really need to understand that's it. Period. Barring these women coming out and saying, yeah, I did it, yeah, he did it, or she did it, and then having proof, nobody is ever going to be arrested. And right away, the first thing you get, first kind of comments, oh, you're a pedo protector. No, I'm not. I'm a realist. I know the law. You could know the law. There's no way to convict or even arrest somebody because of an email. It can't be done. I'm not a lawyer, but I could even defend that suit. There's no evidence. So by just saying that to people, you're a pedo protector, and all this kind of stuff. And so one guy said something to me. He goes, then we the people need to demand that something is done about this. If we don't, we are just as guilty for not getting off our butts. And I just asked him, please, with great specificity, define what something is. You see, the emotion behind this is driving people bat poop crazy because they're not even coming to their senses. Like, wait a second. Wait. We all agree. There's no daylight between any of us who want to see these things prosecuted. There can't be. Every single one of us wants to see whoever did this stuff to these women completely made accountable. Do we all agree there? Like we just said, can we find our common ground? Yeah, we all agree. Now the part where things fall apart is people who are wishing on a star, hoping that somebody's going to get arrested, something happens. Nothing's going to happen. It can't happen. Absent these women deciding to come off their thrones with their non-disclosures and saying, that person did it. Prove it. I don't have any proof. Nothing? No. Where were you? I don't remember. Time of day was it? I have no idea. You have any DNA? Nope. What do you call that? That's called a nothing burger. That is basically, what's her name? E. Jean Carroll. Yeah, Trump did something in a department store 30 years ago, and I want 50 million bucks. Not going to jail for that. Because there's nothing unless you want to railroad somebody into a $50 million lawsuit. And I know it's very hard for people to swallow. I know people are like, well, Barry, we can get them on what? We need a video. We need a video rolling so we can see specifically, oh, he did this, he did that. You see, what they want is a social media execution based on an email, which is what I believe some of these pollsters actually want. This is an orchestrated campaign to try and destroy people before anything ever comes out. All 3 million documents, all these documents don't mean crap. Not until somebody goes on a Bible, I swear to this, that so-and-so did this, this, and this on January 1st, 1985, when I was 12. What's the likelihood of that happening? Well, it would have happened already. In fact, Elon Musk called their bluff. Elon Musk said, if you've signed an NDA and you've received millions of dollars to keep your mouth shut, break the NDA, and I will pay whatever legal fees you incur. The richest man in the world said, put up. You got nothing to worry about. We'll pay it all. Did you know that? Did you know that Elon Musk said, I will bankroll you, make sure nothing happens to you. You go ahead and name Fred Smith, and Fred Smith says, I'm going to sue you. Have at it, Fred. I'm going to pay whatever fine they get. So now you got nothing to lose. You're never going to come up with anything out of your pocket. You don't have to run Super Bowl commercials. You don't have to go, you don't have to do any of that. Walk out, have a press conference and say, Fred Smith diddled me when I was a kid. But they won't. The fact that after Elon Musk gave them that guarantee, they still won't do it, what does that tell you? You say, wait a second. I want you to listen. I got paid $1 million to keep my mouth shut. And if I ever break that, not only do I have to give the $1 million back, but then you can sue me for whatever. Now understand, if you came out and said Fred Smith did it, and now Fred's suing me, Fred's going to have to leave the country. You're going to sue the woman that you abused? I don't think that's going to work. And even if she had to pay the money back, Elon said, I'll cover it. So now they've been given nowhere to go. But you're not going to hear that because people like this are completely mesmerized. They're inundated. They have no idea The anger is so high, they can't think rationally. Like, stop. Nobody's getting arrested because of an email. And now after what happened today, it's going to be even worse. So Ghislaine Maxwell decided she was going to for her deposition today. The House Oversight Committee's deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell ended less than an hour after it began this morning when the convicted accomplice, don't know what she was convicted of, pled the Fifth Amendment. Maxwell appeared before lawmakers virtually for a closed-door interview in the House bipartisan probe into the federal government's handling of Epstein. She's currently serving a 20-year sentence in a Texas prison. And she said, nope, not talking. The only way I talk is if I get full release from prison. Another person, not going to say anything. Why? Because she'd probably get dead. Maybe that's what these women are afraid of. They get dead. Mike Cernovich and Will Chamberlain, both who are lawyers, he goes, even if they signed NDAs, they would be de facto unenforceable. Anyone who has names should name them or have Massey do so on the House floor. Speech and debate immunity is absolute. This is not going to end because people don't want it to end. They want to point fingers. They want to have Twitter/X executions with just an email that nobody can, there's nothing there. The only people who can come forward won't come forward. We gave them all kinds of assurances that they will protect you or do this. Elon Musk says, we'll pay this, we'll pay. Nobody wants to talk. So you tell me how you charge and convict anybody with no evidence and no witnesses. Did Fred do it? I refuse to speak on it. They might get self-incriminated. Here's James Comer afterwards.
As well as questions about potential co-conspirators. We sincerely want to get to the truth of the American people and justice for the survivors. That's what this investigation is about. I want to mention the next steps. We can confirm we have 5 more depositions in the book scheduled for the Epstein investigation. On February 18th, Lex Wexner, who is a financial client of Epstein and I believe the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. February 26th, we have former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. February 27th, former President Bill Clinton. March 11th, Richard Kahn, Epstein's accountant, and March 19th, Darren Endike, Epstein's lawyer. So we will continue to move forward and try to get answers for the American people.
So, do you think Britain's royal family, do you think that Britain's royal family has questions to answer to your committee?
Well, we would love to hear, from anyone. Obviously, I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But do you have anything to add?
I'll just add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing. And that's one thing they said in his opening statement to us today.
All right. That's not stopping the nuts. Oh, she must have been told to say that. So if she was told to say it, prove it. She said Bill Clinton and Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. Did they? I don't know. The only person who knows says, no, they didn't. Make you mad? Okay, well, be mad. Bill Clinton had a big picture and all these things, and I got pictures of him. She said no. Tell me how you're going to convict somebody with the picture of Bill in a pool with the little girls when the person who's a witness said already now on the record, understand that. She has now said on the record that neither of these men had anything to do with it. What prosecutor in the world is going to put either of these men through a prosecution when the lead witness said, nope, didn't have anything to do with it? Does it suck? Absolutely. But if you look at the law and you can't bring somebody and convict them if someone else has already said, no, it's not them. Yeah, yes, you could probably try to refute her, but still, you got nobody else saying anything to the contrary.
Was Ghislaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent?
What's that?
Was Ghislaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent today?
Well, I have no idea.
Is that your suspicion?
How would I have no idea. I mean, she was given an opportunity. We would have brought her in months ago, but she's indicated she was going to plead the fifth. And, unfortunately, she had an opportunity today to answer questions that every American has, questions that would be very important in this investigation, and she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights.
Mr. Chairman, clarify what her lawyer said about President Trump and Clinton, and do you think that there's anything more to do with Ghislaine Maxwell now that she pled the fifth?
You correct me if I'm wrong. Just to be clear, what her attorney said, Maxwell didn't say. Her attorney said that she would answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president,
Trump,
and that she went on to say about Clinton and
but he went on to expand that. The other thing is he pointed out a number of times that she has a habeas corpus petition pending for a new trial and release. And that's why she is not going to answer questions.
Mr. Chairman. I know that those conversations are ongoing. They would like them to be public. Is your understanding still that we're looking at those same February dates and they're going to be private?
Yeah, that's what they agreed to. And they will be public, just like this will be public, hopefully very soon. We've released every transcript and every video and audio of every deposition we've done since I've been chairman of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, does the committee have any plans to subpoena Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, given the revelations?
We're going to try to get these 5 nailed down. We've got a lot of very important people we're trying to bring in to answer questions. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize the 5 that we have on the book. So we'll see what happens here, and we'll move forward. We're interested in talking to anyone that might have any information that would help us get justice for the survivors. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. On the disagreement with the Clintons about closed door videotape testimony versus public hearing, are you concerned this will be enough to restart contempt proceedings? Or do you think you'll come to a resolution?
I mean, they said they agreed to a standard deposition. That's what a standard deposition is. Every time I've come out here for a press gaggle with you all, we've had a standard deposition. So this is how depositions work, and it will be made public. So they want a public deposition. This is what.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you about Ilhan Omar for a moment? Mr. Chairman, your investigation thank you. Your investigation about Ilhan Omar. Why are you targeting her when there is a Ilhan Omar? Your committee investigation with Ilhan Omar, when there is a process in the House, if people have questions about their conduct, this will go through the ethics committee. Why is this under the jurisdiction?
And I've spoken, I'm glad you asked that question. I've spoken with the ethics committee. The ethics committee has jurisdiction over members of Congress. The 2 businesses in question are owned by Ms. Omar's husband. So the ethics committee does not have jurisdiction over a spouse, only a member. So that's why we just asked, we would have questions. I don't think anyone would.
Into her overall finances, because that is listed on her financial disclosure report, even though that's her spouse.
We've read this by the ethics committee, and we think this is the appropriate route. So, and we'll do one more question.
One question on just going back to the Clinton's deposition. Sorry for space. I understand that you're going to release the transcripts, you'll release the video. Why is there reticence to just have it be public since the Clintons, look, they are not your typical...
When you say public, what do you mean? I mean, it's going to be the video and we'll release it. The public will see every second of the deposition.
But not
I think they're trying to muddy what's that?
But not at the time that it happened. So what's the reticence?
A few seconds later? I mean, I think the Clintons are trying to muddy the waters and create a false narrative like, depositions behind closed doors. That deposition was behind closed doors, but you had at least 10 members of Congress in there, and you'll have the video, I hope, very soon.
Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yes, but go ahead. All right.
Ghislaine Maxwell, we know from...
All right, so what he's saying is, and you could hear the reporter talking, Why can't we see it in live while it's happening? And they don't want a recording of it. And he said there was 10 members of Congress in the room. There's not going to be any shenanigans with it. You understand that she's talking about some sensitive things, but then again, she didn't say anything. She pled the fifth. And now Hillary Clinton is going to say some stuff, and they want it live because they just want her to say, I guarantee you what they want her to say. They want her to say something about Trump. That's why they want it, live.
The Epstein files, didn't tell the truth. She got moved to an open prison. Now she's asking for clemency to speak at all. Was it a mistake to move her to that prison? Should she be moved back?
I don't know the rationale for moving her from one prison to the other, but look, initially she had asked that the oversight committee grant immunity, and when we met with the survivors of Epstein, it was pretty clear, according to the survivors, and we had 20 some members in that meeting, that Maxwell was a very bad person, and she committed a lot of crimes. And it was the intent, in my opinion, when we left that meeting in a bipartisan manner, that we would not grant immunity. Now, what she said today, she's asked for clemency from the president. So, I personally, for the reasons you just stated, don't think she should be granted any type of immunity or clemencies. But we'll obviously, as more documents are read and understood, then we'll go from there. But I'll close with this, and I think it's great that the Department of Justice is letting members of Congress come in and look at all the unredacted versions of the documents. Attorney General Bondi is doing what she was supposed to do via our subpoena first on the House Oversight Committee, as well as the Epstein Transparency Act. So I think we're finally going to get some answers, and hopefully at the end of the day, we can do what our objective is in this hearing, provide justice for the survivors. So thank you, Albert.
For the Clinton deposition yet? What kind of deposition do you mean?
There, no walking down.
All right, so I was going to show you the Democrat response, but as you can imagine, lies, half-truths, mania, craziness, and I don't think you guys want to see all that. Because the bottom line with this news is that she has decided she is not going to be testifying unless she gets some sort of sweetheart deal, which they're not going to give her. They're not going to give her clemency and just let her out of prison, especially if they don't know she's going to say anything. So in any event, that's where we are. The women have decided to run $10 million Super Bowl ads instead of actually talking. And so there's no place for the Democrats. In fact, even Thomas Massie was backstroking today. Thomas Massie said earlier that he had 20 different names. And I was like, I don't have any names. It's a complete clusterfrig. Everybody's lying. Everybody's trying to position themselves. And the only people who have the ability to come out and say something are these women who won't talk. I don't know what we're supposed to do. I have a daughter and 2 granddaughters and a wife. I would love to see these men, if they did bad things to women, be dealt with harshly. I just don't see it happening. Is it bad? Yes. Is it a indictment on our government? Yup. Like I told that person who just said somebody has to do something, what do you want them to do? And I hate that we have to quote, I'm not like Trump even said about moving on. I don't want to have to move on, but I think you should compel these women to talk. To hell with the DNAs. You now have a get out of jail free card. Other than that, I don't know what, I really don't know what we can do. Hey, let me talk to you about Rumble, who's one of the sponsors today. You know that they can cancel your accounts. They can freeze your cards. They can decide what you're allowed to buy, what you're allowed to say, or who you're allowed to support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. And now I'm going to be introducing, or they're introducing, the Rumble Wallet. Wallet.rumble.com is how you get there. It's a non-custodial wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. No permissions needed, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators who actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators fast and without interference. This isn't a credit line that they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When a system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics, it's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today, download Rumble Wallet now, and step away from the big banks for good. It's true ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. Go to wallet.rumble.com. All right, so let's talk about the next piece I have for you. Well, everybody is talking about the SAVE Act. And I am at the feeling right now, my point of perspective on the SAVE Act is we either do it or we're done. We either do it or get used to shows like Big Buddy. We either do it or people can just keep running around saying that men can get pregnant. We either do it or they're going to keep trying to inject boys into girls' sports. We either do it or they're going to keep trying DEI and doing everything they possibly can. And most importantly, if we either do it or they will steal more elections. That's it. Those are the reasons right there. And none of their refutations, how they refute things, makes any sense.
Well, we're working on the Save America Act, which is going to secure up a lot of things, but secure up our voting. I think people would like to do it, and I think Democrats would too. When you go to voter ID and you ask Democrats, it's polling at 82% with Democrats. I'm not talking about Democrat politicians. I'm talking about Democrats. We have to do something about our voting. We need strong borders. We need a fair press, which we don't have. And very importantly, we need the strong border, the fair press, and we need fair elections. We need elections where people aren't able to cheat. And we're going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get it done. And by the way, it polls, even with Democrats, they want that.
We should note voter ID rules do have wide public support, but the vast majority of Democrats on Capitol Hill oppose them.
Of course. That tells you it's not a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, because the Democrats don't care that people like it. They know it spells the end of the Democrat Party. And it's funny because every single one of these polls that I see, I keep asking them, what happens if we are able to, when we get the SAVE Act passed? None of the other stuff that you're polling matters. The SAVE Act getting passed eliminates the Democrat Party. They cannot win. And nobody's polling about that. It's like you're wasting your time. Instead of understanding, you're letting CNN, you're letting everybody else come up and with the numbers and say, yeah, the entire country wants this. Then what are you talking about this other crap for? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Requiring basic ID in order to vote is really popular. A Pew poll from a few months ago showed 83% of Americans, including 71% of your fellow Democrats, support requiring an ID to vote. Why are they wrong?
I haven't said that they're wrong. We know that states are the ones who are empowered to conduct elections, and every state should be allowed to decide the best way to proceed to ensure that there's a free and fair election. Here in New York, there are, in fact, voter identification requirements. The question is that what Republicans are trying to do is to engage in clear and blatant voter suppression. They know.
Poor black people can't get licenses and they can't get any sort of documentation. Oh, my God. How long is this going to go on? How long are they going to keep this insanity about people? It's voter suppression. People can't get IDs. I remember a guy in business once told me the rule of 10,000. And that rule of 10,000 is if you knew you were going to go pick up a check for $10,000, I think that back then, because I used to be late a lot, he goes, what time would you be there? I'd be right on time. Exactly. If you knew you're going to pick up a check for $10,000, will you get an ID? Yeah. So you can get an ID. So I'd love to talk to some of those people and say, oh, I can't get an ID. It's voter suppression. All right. But if there was a $10,000 check waiting for you, would you go get it then? I bet you have like a 99.9% approval rating at that point.
That if there's a free and fair election in November, they're going to lose. In fact, Republicans have been losing every single election since Donald Trump was sworn in January of last year, including most recently decisively in Texas, and of course, losing all across the country, up and down the ballot in the November off-year elections in places like New Jersey or Virginia or New York.
At this point, people in the media are tired of the BS. At this point, the media, even Dana Bash is like, you can't come on my show and just spout crap.
And they've been losing. I mean, Virginia is a good example. They have a requirement to show your ID, and Democrats won very, very handily across the way. So why not maybe even just take that off the table and say, okay, maybe not a passport or birth certificate, but show ID.
Well, first of all, every state is empowered to be able to make the decision on their own, and we completely and totally support that. What Donald Trump wants to do is try to nationalize the election. Translation, steal it, and we're not going to let it happen. We stopped them in terms of their gerrymandering efforts.
You stopped them in terms of their gerrymandering and then turned around and did the exact same thing, but even worse. She wasn't even in office 30 days, and the governor of Virginia completely stripped the Republican Party in Virginia. And you're talking about stealing an election.
Where they were going to try to redraw congressional maps in red states throughout the nation, not expect Democrats to respond forcefully, and try to rig the midterms. They failed. We've stopped Donald Trump from being able to federalize the National Guard, which we believe was probably part of some toxic attempt to unleash troops on American cities all across the nation and intimidate people from voting. And we're going to stop him from nationalizing the election. This is going to be a free and fair election. It's going to be conducted like every other election, where states and localities have the ability to administer the laws.
The important part about this for you to remember is that in the election with Donald Trump, Kamala Harris won 0 states. She didn't win a single state where they had voter ID. The only state she won where there was no ID being checked. That's kind of odd, isn't it?
We would love to put those questions to the director and have asked to do so. But now that you are here, can you just button this up for me? Because we're talking about 2020, and that's what Fulton County Focus was about. But you also said you think in 2026 there's an effort to interfere. What evidence do you have of that?
This was what I'm seeing from the president's own comments about nationalizing elections and putting Republicans in charge, counter to the Constitution. We've seen these activities in Georgia where could there be some effort that suddenly gives him an excuse to try to take some of these federalization efforts? We've seen ICE. We focused a lot of this activity on ICE in terms of their going rogue in Minneapolis. But there is a very real threat without reforms at ICE that you could have ICE patrols around polling stations. And people would say,
why would an American citizen have a problem with ICE patrols around voting stations? His words, not mine. You could have a real threat of having ICE around voting polls. Who would be concerned about that? Why would any American citizen be worried if ICE was standing out in front of a voting booth? He doesn't realize what he just did was exactly why we do need to have voter ID. He just said, hey man, we might scare off some of the illegals. We can't have ICE standing out in front of a voter booth. Why not? The only people going in are Americans, right? So there's no fear. How you doing, Mr. Ice Guy? Hey, how you doing, Mr. Ice Guy? Hey, Mr. Ice. I don't care. Robin ain't caring. You're not caring. You just, hey, how you doing? Good job out there. The only people who worried when they pull up and say, ooh, ICE is out front. Maybe we need to leave. The only people who say that are people who weren't supposed to be there. So he just gave it away.
Why would that matter if you're all American citizens?
Yeah, non-citizens cannot vote.
Because we've seen ICE discriminate against Latinos families. We've seen as well mixed families.
She caught him. She caught him, and he's realizing, oh, did I just say it that way? Hold on, I'm trying to think about it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, they're discriminating. There's no answer. She asked him, why would you worry about it? He's got no answer. That's how you know the Democrat ideology is falling apart. He can't answer that.
Where someone may be legal and others not. And candidly, you don't need to do a lot to discourage people from voting. And we've more recently seen ICE starting to use technology where they can get information about Americans. Recently,
he's trying, because he's not realizing at that point, if you have voter ID, you already have proof. You're not afraid. You're not concerned. You just wave it to the person. Go to a football game. There's the cops with dogs outside the stadium. How you doing, officer? Good. How you doing? Enjoy yourself. Yes, we're going to enjoy ourselves. Even when the people get drunk afterwards, can you please? They don't even try to arrest people. Just get up and get to your car. Don't drive. Nobody is afraid. I don't know people afraid of the police. I don't know anybody who freaks out when they see someone in uniform. If someone's weirded out by a cop in uniform, it usually means they got reason to worry.
there was an individual in Minnesota that got denied a global entry card to get through TSA quicker because he or she appeared at a protest rally. Do we really want ICE having that information?
Is that what she
hypothetically, that was what happened in Minnesota. Hypothetically, if ICE is getting information and you've got an unpaid parking ticket, would you go vote if you've got an
unpaid parking ticket doesn't mean I'm an illegal moron. I've had unpaid parking tickets. I don't think anybody's going to look, oh, hey, man, this dude he hasn't paid it. Wait a minute. How does a guy in ICE standing there going to know if you have unpaid parking tickets? Now you've gone from worrying about ICE standing out front to ICE, hey, come here, let me scan your thing. Oh, you got unpaid parking tickets. You got to go with me. Said no cop ever. He's just spewing at this point.
a parking ticket thinking that an ICE patrol might be at a polling station? This is uncharted territory, and yet you've got the president's own words in many ways raising concerns because he says, well, gosh, we Republicans ought to take over elections in 15
We're going to
states.
talk about
Republicans are making a big push for the so-called SAVE Act, at least some Republicans are, that would require a proof of citizenship to be able to vote. I understand you and other Democrats oppose that. There are roughly 20 or so million voting age Americans who don't actually have the the papers that would be required to
prove it. I'm so sick of them spewing that. Oh, there's 20 million Americans that don't have IDs. Who? Who are these Americans that have no ID? 12-year-olds? 9-year-olds? Who is it that doesn't have? They never say that. They just throw it out there. But I love the fact that this is ABC News. They're actually asking the same question as well.
to show readily available. But given the Republicans have undermined confidence in elections and the integrity of elections, what about the idea of voter ID, of photo ID being required to vote? Are you in favor of that? Can there be a compromise where Democrats and Republicans put forward photo ID as a requirement for voting?
So, Jonathan, what you've just asked is essentially Republicans have created distrust in the elections by making claims of non-existent fraud in the elections. And shouldn't we use the distrust they've created in order to enact a voter suppression law, which is the SAVE Act, which would require people to have a birth certificate or passport, documents that millions of Americans don't have. Almost half the country doesn't have a passport, and I don't know where many millions of people would even find a birth certificate. So
millions of Americans don't even know how to find a birth certificate. Well, maybe that's your messaging. Here's how you get your birth certificate. And by the way, a birth certificate ain't going to cut it either. There's no picture on a birth certificate. We're talking driver's license. We're talking passports. I mean, you're giving out driver's license in California like it's candy. All of their names are on it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting in a state that was handing out commercial driver's licenses to people who aren't supposed to be here, who obviously have, their name and everything on it, but you don't want them to have any ID, but even though you're giving them ID. The lies that they say, the people in the news understand they're lying. And at this point, I think they're getting concerned with their own credibility, because nobody watching this makes any sense. What do you mean I don't know how to get a birth certificate? The election is in November, the 2026 one. November is 9 months away. Are you really telling me that people can't get an ID in 9 months? And then for 2028, they can't get an ID in over 2 years? Come on, man. Nobody in America is that stupid. And it's the same crap they've been peddling for years. Oh, IDs are too hard to get. Every 2-4 years, it's too hard. I could probably walk to Connecticut and get my driver's license in 4 years. I could okay, you remember that movie In the Snow where the guy walked to New York, which was the craziest thing ever? You could probably walk to Connecticut and get your birth certificate in 2 years. It's 1,000 miles, 1,100 miles. Walk a mile a day. It'll take you, roughly about 1,100 days. In 1,100 days, you're right at about, every 4 years. You could walk there.
No, but I asked you
only fraud claims.
But I was asking you a different question. Photo ID. Because as you know, let's show up. There was a recent poll. There's been a lot.
You like how you said that? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about photo ID.
Polls on this, but in one recent Pew poll, 83% of adults support requiring photo ID to vote. 71% of Democrats favor requiring photo ID. Is that something that you can support? And if not, why not?
It's still going to be something, Jonathan. It's still going to be something that disenfranchises people that don't have the proper real ID, driver's license ID, that don't have the ID necessary to vote, even though they are citizens. This is another way to simply try to suppress the vote.
So in other words, what you're saying, Adam, who should be in jail himself, what you're saying is, A, people are too stupid to get a driver's license or some form of ID, and that you're ignoring your own voting population. There's no other way to look at this. When you look at those numbers and see, wow, 75% of Democrats want this. The idea is that you're an elected official to represent the people in your area. If 75% of the people in your area say, I want this, and you give them the middle finger, then you are basically saying, nope, not going to do what my constituents want.
And the last thing I think we want to do is discourage more people, more citizens from voting while they're attacking those same elections, while they're trying to do away with absentee ballot voting, while they're trying to do away with being able to register to vote through the DMV or by the mail. So it's part of the broader disenfranchisement effort. And no, I don't think that's the right direction.
All right.
And one of the reasons why I showed you this is because I want to give you ammunition to fight these so-called black pillars and everybody else out there who's just trashing Trump and saying we're going to lose the midterms. How can we possibly lose the midterms when we don't have a crystal ball? Nobody has a crystal ball. There is no data. There will be no Epstein convictions. The women aren't going to talk. And then what happens if we somehow can get the SAVE Act? Matter of fact, why have they not even done polls on that? Why are they not even talking about it? Some people post 70, 80, 90, 100 times a day saying, oh, I'm looking at this and people are real upset. They're pissed off. Well, you're asking them the wrong friggin' questions. You're seeing, and some people are reporting about Trump's numbers going down. And I gotta believe from looking at you guys and seeing what happened last night, something doesn't jive with what people are saying. If Turning Point USA can create a halftime show in, little over 2 months, get 50, 60 million people to watch, meaning they want this, they don't want that. How in the hell are you saying we have a problem with the midterms? We saw it last night. If the viewership is correct, if people are promoting these numbers, if those numbers are correct, and a gazillion people watch the show put together in 2.5 months, and they changed the channel and had to take the initiative to do something, and we had this kind of overwhelming response, how are we supposed to lose the midterms? Unless, of course, you're lying for clicks and likes and things of that nature, because it doesn't make sense. Even with people here in our chat who say, they boycott in the NFL, and I watched TPUSA's halftime. You can see the math ain't mathing. How is it possible that we're going to lose the midterms when an overwhelming amount of people turned the channel and said, this is what I want? Not one of those people who were watching were worried about Epstein last night. Not one of those people who were watching probably don't have ID. Not one of those people watching is probably even looking to these black pillars. What you saw last night, if there was 50 million people watching, what you saw was the real America. The real America who's not on X, not on Twitter, and said, you know what? I don't want to see this crap. I want to watch this. So the numbers aren't adding up.
As a Democrat, I do not believe that it's unreasonable or to show ID just to vote. And I remind everybody that less than a year ago in Wisconsin, they added that to the Constitution by a 63%, passing, to put that in the Constitution that you have to show ID to vote. And they also elected a very, very liberal justice into their Supreme Court. So it's not a radical idea for regular Americans to show your ID to vote. And it's absolutely, those things are not Jim Crow or anything.
How is it that this guy is more moderate than the other people? Lurch won't even wear a suit. And he's turning out to be someone who's got, what you're looking at, this is Adam Carolla. This is Bill Maher. These are the people like, I can't be that. I want a voter ID. If we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. I want to win. I'm a Democrat. I want to win. I don't want to cheat. I'm not with you people at all costs. Whatever happens, cheat. Let's go ahead and put voter ID in, see how it turns out. Do it your job. Get people to come out and vote for you. Show them where to get ID. But to say it's un-American or it's irrational or radical, and he's saying, no, you're losing people like me. That's what he's saying. If you guys have ever been to Philadelphia, or you may know some Democrats yourself, and they have no home right now. That must be a really weird position for them to be.
Of course, that's part of an awful, awful legacy of our nation for so long ago. But where we are now, trying to find a way forward, just trying to call balls and strikes, seeing what's unreasonable, hopefully we don't have to do, and pay the TSA people and everyone, secure our border, and focus on deporting all of those kinds of criminals, wherever they are. That's the guy that votes for that and supports that as a Democrat, and I don't ever want to vote to shut our government down again.
Right. And you are very much where the people are. Look, that's what most people would like to see. Prioritize the criminals. Take the criminals out of the country who are here illegally but are also committing crime. But, I mean, is there any other way to view the fact that Democrat leadership...
Huh? Hello. Hello. Keep going.
Dear America.
If I start investing when I'm 16?
9, 7. It could change my future. All our future. I want to be a nurse.
I'm not really sure what happened there. I was talking about the Save Act, and it froze up on me here. Yeah, the last 4 or 5 seconds. Yeah, his last 4 or 5 seconds froze up. All right, but you get the point. You know, he's for it. They're not. So whatever. But we're back. We're live. Nothing happened. We didn't lose anything. No, all the gauges look correct. All right. So let me take a second and talk to you about Chapter. Medicare, as you know, is quite confusing. As someone who myself recently turned 65, I can confirm this. Keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding all your options, and making sure you're on the right plan takes too much time and energy. And between Medicare scams, corrupt agents, and bloated insurance companies, it's easy to make mistakes that can cost you thousands. That's why I'm happy I called the people at Chapter. They're actually honest and the only Medicare advisor that looks at every plan nationwide, helping people save an average of $1,100 a year. People are relieved when they talk to Chapter, and I understand they are very busy this time of year and it might take you a while to get through, but keep trying to call them. These guys won't push you to buy a plan you don't want, and their support is completely free. So if you're turning 65 soon or have questions about your Medicare coverage, call them at 475-328-3545 to get the most out of Medicare. Most people wish they'd call sooner, or you can go to askchapter.org/Barry to book a call online. I'll be back in 90 seconds for the wrap up.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I get comments sometime on here and I just think to myself, what the hell is wrong? This comment by Tom says, we walked away after those players you claim we abandoned walked out on the USA. We didn't wave a white flag. We stood up for the USA. Tom, how many players are in an NFL team organization? And once you put your mind around that. And then I'm going to ask you, on that particular team that you root for, that particular team, how many of the players on that particular team knelt for whatever it was back then? I'll wait. 5, 10, 15. You see, that's part of the problem, is that you're doing what the left does. You're lumping everybody in. I don't think I ever saw a game where I saw 20 NFL players kneeling. And even if 20 players were kneeling at an NFL game, even if there were as many as 20 people kneeling at an NFL game, then what you're saying is that it's about 20% of the players. The other 80% who stood up and put their hands over their chest did the right thing. Continue to do the right thing. Sing the national anthem. And you're lumping all the bad into and saying they abandoned America, which I can tell you for 100% fact is not true. But it's your prerogative. Don't want to watch? Don't watch. Don't want to go to an NFL game because they're forever tainted? Fine. Don't want to buy any Bud White Light because Dylan Mulvaney was once a spokesperson? Fine. Don't ever want to go to a Cracker Barrel ever again because they screwed up? Fine. I don't care. But yeah, at that point, you are indeed waving the white flag. You're making the rest of us pick up the slack. I don't mind. We've been picking up the slack for people for quite some time. We'll continue to do so. All right, so in addition to some of the stuff that I've shown you that happened last night at the Super Bowl, there were a few good things.
Dear America.
If I start investing when I'm 16?
9, 7. It could change my future, all our future. I want to be a nurse.
Go to college.
Be a businesswoman. I can save for a house with a trampoline. 2 trampolines. This year, every American child gets an investment account. And millions will be pre-funded. That's free money. We can all experience the American dream. Sign me up.
After 250 years, the American experiment still isn't finished. It's been built, tested, carried forward, and fought for. And we passed it on, hand to hand, life to life. Generations ago, ordinary people risked everything to begin it. 250 years later, the work continues. Because freedom is worth it. This year, America turns 250.
You know, it's funny with everything that happened with Bad Bunny. I didn't see a lot of people sharing those. I didn't see a lot of people sharing the Trump account commercial. I didn't see a lot of people sharing America 250, that the dream is still alive. I didn't see people pushing that messaging out. Even if you didn't watch the NFL game, even if you chose to say, you know what, I'm done with them. Did you help push this messaging out? They paid good money to get this stuff out in front of people, and it just seems like many people were just so consumed with Bad Bunny. We didn't talk about the Trump accounts. We didn't let people know, hey, by the way, do you know what you can do all the way up until like 18? I mean, when you get that old, you may not get the government money, but you're allowed to put money in as a parent, grandparent. There are too many people who don't know about the Trump account. And obviously, there's too many people who don't understand the American dream is alive and well. America 250, we're celebrating America, but it's still alive and well. Everything is out there for your taking. You see, I don't get down about Bad Bunny because there's too much good to worry about. I don't boycott stuff. I just buy something else. I'm never going to say you shouldn't do this. I'm just pointing out why you shouldn't. The decision is up to you. The same way some people won't even put money in a Trump account for their kids or their grandkids. Or they'll say they don't have the money to put into a Trump account for their kids or their grandkids. But it doesn't cost you anything to be a participant and get the message out.
They're friends and neighbors, sons, fathers. They're little league coaches and veterans. They're people who love this country. These are Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers. They are removing violent criminals from our streets and neighborhoods. It's dangerous and difficult work. But ICE has one mission: to make America a safer place to live, and that's what they're doing. This is law enforcement. This is ICE.
Can you believe this stuff was during the Super Bowl? This stuff was run during the NFL game? You probably didn't if you boycotted it. You probably didn't see it because most of us wanted to celebrate America. I didn't give a crap about Bad Bunny. Rob will tell you, I didn't care. What you're going to see right now should just divert your attention to what's really important. The strength of America. And this is your Secretary of War.
All right, first we're going to do the Rhode Island National Guard, which has a slightly different oath. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name. I state your full name. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. And that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. And the Governor of Rhode Island. And the Governor of Rhode Island. And the orders of the officers appointed over me. And the orders of the officers appointed over me. According to laws and regulations. According to laws and regulations. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name. I state your full name. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders. And I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. Of the President of the United States. And the orders of the officers appointed over me. And the orders of the officers appointed over me. According to the regulations. According to the regulations. And the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's what America's all about. That's exactly what America is about. These young men and young women getting sworn in and inducted into the military to fight for what really matters, the red, white, and blue. And so I'm going to just about over it. Just got one more piece for you, which is basically the Democrats facing a serious boomerang. I mean, talk about a quick turnaround here.
Yeah, Bill, good morning to you. You said it best. Here we go again. Congress only has until the end of the day on Friday to figure out some sort of a deal here when it comes to this DHS funding. And that's really starting to look like more and more of a long shot at this point because Democrats are digging in on their demands that ICE either be reformed or defunded.
Too many women have been dragged by their hair through the street. We've seen a 6-year-old child fighting stage 4 cancer deported, so we're not going to give them another penny.
And Fox News has confirmed that Senate Democrats have sent legislative text on a DHS spending plan to their Republican counterparts. Now, last week, you'll remember Chuck Schumer announced a list of 10 demands for ICE reforms. That includes judicial warrants, body cams, an end to roving patrols, forcing ICE agents to unmask, and also forcing them to carry and show ID. Well, the Senate's top Republican negotiator on that DHS bill, Senator Katie Britt, slammed those demands, writing in part, quote, "Democrats' newest proposal is a ridiculous Christmas list of demands for the press. This is not negotiating in good faith, and it's not what the American people want." Other Senate Republicans point out that shutting down DHS will hurt TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard a whole lot more than it'll hurt ICE. And they say some of the Democrats' demands are non-starters.
The request that we should put ICE agents in harm's way is absolutely intolerable. And again, the Democrats need to get serious.
And at least one Senate Democrat believes a partial government shutdown is all but certain.
I absolutely would expect that it's going to shut down. I know that the Democrats, we provided, I think it was 10 kinds of basic things. And then the Republican pushed back quickly, saying that that's like a Christmas wish list and that they're non-starters.
So, Bill, this is interesting. One of the main demands we've been hearing from Democrats is they want ICE to wear body cameras, and Republicans are okay with that. But now Democrats are saying they're worried those body cameras will be used to surveil or spy on anti-ICE protesters or track them in some way. So now Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are saying they want restrictions on how those ICE body cameras will be used.
You really can't make this stuff up. We want body cams. We want body cams on every ICE. Wait a minute. They can see the people doing bad stuff. Yeah. Oh, let's rethink that. You can't take pictures of the people doing bad stuff. You need to have some sort of tripod that just takes pictures of you. And we have people saying we're going to lose. As soon as they said the body cams, I was like, okay, I bet you they're good with that, because we can have the body cam, and the body cam is taking a picture of the nuts. And then the Democrats quickly realized, oh, that's not going to be good for us. That's not going to be good at all. Let's have some sort of restricted body cam. So you want the guys to be out there doing stuff, and now turn it on now? Yeah, turn it on now. Oops, turn it off. You're facing somebody. These are not serious people. These are not serious people. No way. Gail posted, just tuned in, yes, Barry, as the wife of a former NBA player, NBA life and NFL life is exactly as you were describing. I know people haven't lived the life. They don't know. They don't know what it is. I'm still waiting for the ICE dragging kids out of school. That never comes. They said that after it infringed on the protesters' rights. Crazy. We want body cams until it destroys our narrative and gets everyone arrested for rioting. Yeah, because now you'll have the actual picture of the person, so you can have like scan them. They can't have it both ways. Again, tell me if you've seen anybody who's actually made up a poll about body cams being bad for the Democrats or anything. I just can't stand these people. I really don't. When they come up with these polls, oh, you're going to lose the midterms. Oh, it's awful. It's incredible how bad it is. All right, let you know, it looks like 34% of you didn't see Turning Point, their halftime show. So what I'll do is tonight, I'm going to show the halftime show. I guess y'all gonna have to tell me if you I don't think I can show bad. I don't want to show Bad Bunny. Well, I'll show the Turning Point side for the 35% of you who hadn't seen it, and we can all just take a look at it and look at it from that perspective, because it was good. And then we can actually watch what happened with what's his face, Kid Rock, so people understand he was telling a story. All right, super chat time. All right. Claudine, hi, Barry. I've been listening to you for a while. Thanks for your advice. I just bought some silver. You go. I need to shrink that a little bit so people can see. There we go. I watched a little bit of the Bad Bunny, enough to determine it was the NFL's attempt to bow down to the liberals and the illegals. Turning point was just music. No one telling me what to think. Exactly. Dan Hobbs, I cried the entire halftime watch TPUSA for a short moment in time. It felt like the America I remember and long for again. Was with like-minded people. If you didn't see it, it's a must-see. You know, and a lot of people are talking about Kid Rock, but the Lee Bryce song, well, actually, he sang, everything was good. Everything was good. Brad, Super Bowl on stolen land? Really? Melvin Blodgett, think about this. The largest American event at a time America is celebrating its 250th birthday, and Roger did that to us. Evil. Chiosop, the fact that we boycotted the Super Bowl and watched TPUSA instead is the reason why everybody's talking today about doing their own show to counter the Super Bowl. The boycotting was a great success. I told you, show people how to make money. Chiosop, now we need to contact the companies and tell them we boycotted the Super Bowl because of Dumb Bunny and make sure they know what's going to happen. John, Barry, you got to call Trump. You got to call Turning Point. Just hearing the ideas, thoughts you put together while you're doing your show. I'll buy tickets from you and all my family. Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, they need to come up with a Turning Palooza or something. TP Palooza. Just make it a huge event. I mean, I'm seeing it right now. And you got Jason Aldean and Kenny Chesney. Not sure what side of the aisle he is, but Morgan Wallen. Can you imagine Jason Aldean, Morgan Wallen, Kenny Chesney, and Leonard Skinner? I mean, whoa, that would be a massive show. Make it run all day. Forget the counter programming of 18 minutes. Counter program the entire day, right up to the kickoff. All right, we're going to cut to the kickoff. Boom. All right, halftime. Get some more acts playing, and then after the game, do a couple like for the encore. Do it all day long. It would be massive, absolutely massive. I mean, I would do that. I would definitely do that. Bad Bunny scrubbed his online account. Go figure. They say he does that quite a bit as a stunt. Who knows? Grandma Carlson, Barry, your channel is my favorite. Thank you, Grandma. Dallin, thank you. Dumb American loves Thai. I love some Thai food as well. Did you hear about the voting machine seized in Puerto Rico? This happened months before the raid in Atlanta. Maybe this was the evidence. Could be. We are crossing the finish line soon, says Beth. Hello. Oh, about the house. Yeah, we're getting there. Raven Kirkendall, is Elon offering security to those who testify? Well, he said he'd pay them. He would cover it, so we'll see. Chiosop, it can be any ID. It has to be ID that's backed by proof of citizenship. New York does not have an ID requirement. The biggest crazy. Ken Romolino, we lose the midterms because Republicans will not go and vote because they don't get exactly what they want when they want it. They won't vote, and we'll let Democrats take over. Look at Virginia and New Jersey. Yep. Staying home does nothing. John Tierney, thank you. I laughed earlier because here it is. We've been on for 2 hours and 4. They're still just talking about Savannah Guthrie's mom. It's incredible. It's just 24/7. Unreal. Mariah, thank you very much for highlighting America for us. Focus. Thank you. Carl Hassenauer. Barry, I loved your Jets story with the Centerville. I was 10 years old when the Jets won against the Colts in the Super Bowl. Emerson Boozer, remember the name, George Sauer? I believe George Sauer was a wide receiver. Weeb Eubanks was the coach, the Jets, and Namath. And Robin would tell you, absolute true story. Having dinner at the restaurant, remember even 60 years later, that ring was about that big. I mean, his Super Bowl ring was massive, and he still had his fat, chubby center hands. We all have these like big meaty. That's why I get all these scars from Lily, because she thinks my hands are like Vienna sausages, and she's always chewing on my hands. She loves chewing on my hands and stuff. All right, so I will see you guys tonight. I'll post what time, 7 or 7:30, and we'll show the halftime show. We'll have to jump over to Rumble to show that because YouTube doesn't like the copyright stuff. So we'll jump over and I'll show you in its entirety, and we can watch that on a jump over. And then I'll have some news tonight as well. All right, guys, we just got through another one. Thank you very, very much.